Welcome to A Pod of Wings and Filth, where two voracious fantasy readers dive into the magical, gritty, and sometimes downright filthy world of fantasy.
On this podcast, we chat about our favorite fantasy books, from dragons and magic to the dark and twisted corners of fantastical realms.
I'm Heather, and DNFing a book or a series is absolutely okay. Your time is precious.
And I'm Morgan, and I have a confession. I almost never read the glossaries.
We've got a lot of opinions, a lot of passion, and even more books to talk about. So grab your favorite brew, maybe a magical artifact or two, and join us as we get into all things magic, wings, and a little bit of filth.
Content warning: expect spice, swearing, spoilers, and strong opinions on dubious character choices. This is an adult show meant to discuss adult things, unfiltered for an adult audience. Today's episode will contain spoilers for all of Shield of Sparrows. So if you're not ready for unhinged fandom energy, turn back now. Otherwise, spread your wings, grow your horns, and let's get filthy.
Morgan!
Oh, this is going to be an intense one, y'all. Are y'all ready?
Like, really, get strapped in, because we're going for a ride.
It's a roller coaster of many things. Emotions, one of them.
I probably would have waited so long to read this. I set my expectations really high, and it's not necessarily the storytelling. I'm expecting to have some kind of experience. And so sometimes that can be disappointing.
Okay, I'm excited to hear your summary. Are you ready?
Today, we're diving into Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry, a sweeping romantasy where duty, betrayal, and love collide. Odessa Cross has always been the overlooked eldest princess of Quintus, living in the shadow of her younger half-sister, May, the Sparrow, chosen to wed Prince Xavier of Tura and fulfill an ancient treaty meant to unite the 5 kingdoms of Calandra. But when the turned prince arrives early with his silent and fearsome protector, the Guardian, everything changes. In a shocking twist, the Guardian invokes an ancient right and claims Odessa instead, binding her to a life she never asked for. Before she departs, her father gives her a dangerous mission: to infiltrate, uncover its hidden capital of Alisaria, and deliver its secrets back to him. But this world is not what Odessa imagined. Its towns are plagued by deadly green-blooded monsters, its king is erratic, and even her own handmaids seem to be more like spies than allies. And then there's the Guardian, relentless, sharp-tongued, and impossible to ignore. He seems determined to make her new life as difficult as possible. Yet in this harsh and treacherous land, Odessa begins to change. She finds unexpected friendships, uncovers shocking truths, and discovers that the Guardian she resents may not be the enemy she once believed. The more she learns, the more her heart shifts, until love and loyalty threaten to collide. Because Xavier isn't her husband at all. The Guardian, the man she's slowly been falling for, is the true prince. And that revelation is only the beginning. With the deadly Crux migration looming and an old king's ambitions threatening to ignite war, Odessa must choose between loyalty to her father's crown or forbidden love that could save or doom the entire realm.
Oh my God.
Lee Shiznat, Batman. Whoa.
There were so many, I almost don't want to call them plot twists. That doesn't quite feel big enough.
Revelations?
Yes. These huge world-shifting revelations. And I know we've talked about before that sometimes when those happen, it can feel a little like a bait and switch. This just felt like we were finally lifting the veil. Like there was this fog of unknowing, and now we have the knowledge. And like, holy shit, it's bad. Big bad.
It's so bad. And the reason I think that it works so well is because we get Odessa's point of view. We are also flipped upside down with her. Morgan and I have noted this before, and I will continue to reinforce my feelings about it. But my favorite way to learn about a world is through the characters. As they learn, we learn about it with them. In a lot of ways, has some of the same qualities of storytelling as When the Moon Hatched.
Yes, I agree with that.
All of the relationships, understanding the world, understanding the magic, understanding who the main characters are. It's all a slow burn. And Odessa, she's kind of lost. So it gives time for us as the readers to learn about the world. It gives us time as readers to learn and grow with Odessa, who in the beginning is also not likable.
No, I didn't love her to begin, to be quite honest. There's this Cinderella aspect at the very beginning, right? There's this like evil-ish half-sister. Her stepmother is kind of a bitch to her. You can tell she doesn't love her because the king previously was more in love with Odessa's mother than she was with Margot. Her name is Margot also, which just feels like a bitchy name.
Well, she was her mother's handmaiden.
Yes. Which is kind of a wild marriage then to the king afterwards, but I digress. There's the Cinderella thing. And one of the things that I love about certain retellings of Cinderella is when Cinderella doesn't actually just like take her situation laying down. She actually like stands up and steps up.
Yeah.
It takes Odessa a while, like a kind of almost too long while.
It's right on that point of, okay, get your shit together.
And then when she does, she lets loose, and it's through her sass towards the Guardian, who, of course, becomes our main love, and he's wonderful. I mean, he's grumpy. He's sure fucking grumpy.
Yeah.
But he becomes this very swoony man. But she finally, for the first time in her life, says no to him. And I'm just sitting here screaming,
Yeah.
"No,
Yeah.
you tell him no. You stand on your own 2 feet. Hell yeah." Like, I'm cheering her on with popcorn and a beer. Like, please.
Sincerely, though, it's so earned. And I think that's why I like slow burns and really in-depth world building like this, because I know that in the buddy read, it was like every chapter or so, I was putting the book down like, oh my God, I have to react to this. I'm so thankful for Storygraph because I was not alone, because there was so much build up to all of these moments. And there are so many of those moments. That's one of the big ones. It really feels gratifying. These characters don't just feel like they're just there for the story. They're not just plot devices. They're real people. I mean, like, I'm sitting here learning how the postal service works, and I'm fascinated by it.
I cared about the postal service, the Pony Riders.
The Pony Riders. I know. Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's such a dangerous job. And it's not like it's just told to you in exposition. All of this stuff is discovered and shown. I think it takes like a third of the book just to get to a way station, to get to the treehouse.
Which I will admit, that was slow and a little painful at times. I was like, okay, it feels like it's time. We should be getting there. But also, I think the pain of that was intentional. Like, it was supposed to feel long and arduous, and like, sure did.
I was struggling with it too, but I felt like it was intentional. I have to struggle with Odessa as she comes to discover these people, this world, and how treacherous it is. Also, all of the monsters in this, they are completely original, vicious. Yeah. They're so different from anything I've ever read.
The Crux, they're like these giant winged bird. I picture like almost a turkey vulture on huge steroids, like armor and these wings and these like spikes on their head and on their tail. Huge, but like the size of a fucking house.
Utterly and completely vicious. But yeah, Odessa's initial journey, there was a lot of foreshadowing. It's just that there was so much information that you literally would forget about really important aspects.
Right.
And it's not that you forgot about people or places or things. You just forgot about these little nuanced, and some of them weren't even that nuanced. They were just on the page there for you to absorb, but you didn't see why they were so important at the time.
Well, I did not remember it. And it was truly like the tiniest of breadcrumbs. Like, it was just a one line, one time, or this moment in passing, which I think ended up weaving together a lot of the stories and the big reveals in a way that was like, oh, right. Oh my God. I think I left a comment in the buttery that the last 100 pages, I don't think I breathed. Like, I don't think I took a full breath in.
There's brutality, there is death, there is sacrifice, but up until the last 50 to 100 pages, you don't lose main characters.
Not main characters, yeah.
No, but you do there.
You lose Odessa at the beginning, right, on the boat with the marrow eel, which...
Oh my gosh, those were terrible.
That was one of the grosser fucking monsters.
In the beginning, I was fixated on the Guardian and that whole mystery. I'm like, this guy's got to be the actual prince, and this is a trick. This is trickery. I see what's going on here. All right. And I did see what was going on there. And I admit, I thought because of that was going to be the main focus.
Right.
And it wasn't, even though the majority of the story is the Guardian / Ransom, which, what a name.
What a name.
What a name. That's not what I expected to fly out of his mouth. But I loved that moment when he revealed his name to her.
Yeah, it was very vulnerable and very sweet.
I loved how their relationship unraveled. I loved the dynamic of it. I liked watching him constantly push her. And you could feel that he was doing it with the intention of breaking her out of. He wasn't doing it because he was being a bully or because he suspected she was an assassin, which he didn't really hide from her. He blatantly says it to her, but that's because he's been telling her this whole time and she still doesn't entirely get it. I laughed every single time. She's like, I'm a very bad spy. I'm like, it's my dear friend.
At one point at the end, he says it out loud. Did you know that you're a horrible spy? And she goes, yes. Yes, I know.
Because at a certain point, too, it's very clear that it's not just sexual tension between the two of them, even though that is what Odessa is continually telling herself. It's so frustrating. I also love that right away she starts peeling away her loyalty to her father and her half-sister.
And I appreciated it. I think there are times in some of these fantasy stories, where it's just loyalty to the male main character that is the initial lens that the female main character then comes to, sort of degrade their loyalty to their previous kingdom or whatever. That wasn't the case here at all. It was her coming to know the townspeople in the treehouse village, Treehow. It was her coming to know Kathleen. It was her coming to know Luella and Evie and the townspeople and even the grumpy nursemaid lady, Mariette. It was through that, and in addition, the work she starts to do with the Guardian that starts to peel away her loyalty for her father. And I was like, I fucking love that. It's not just sexual tension that's caving this thing away at all.
And it's not like she ever sat there and went, my father's an evil man, and suddenly she becomes suspicious of him and his intentions, and she understands eventually that his treatment of her was bullshit, and she realizes she no longer owes him anything. When she's like, no, I choose this, I choose you, this is where I want to be. To hear her say it out loud, oh my God.
It was so satisfying.
She came so far. I also loved that she was not a warrior and she was bad at it.
She was so bad. She's so clumsy. Like, sweet summer child, stop tripping over your feet.
I'm not always a fan of the guy having to swoop in and save the day. But in this scenario, it was perfect.
It would have felt so false if she had just magically, after 3 training sessions, been so good. It made it so that when she battles Banner at the end, holy shit, it was so awesome. And also, fuck that guy. And I knew it from the beginning. And I was right just once. Because fuck that guy. He's such a misogynistic piece of shit. God, he was the worst. But when she finally battles him at the end, it's not perfect. She is still clumsy and not quite fast enough and all the things. But that win feels so earned.
Yeah, because it's the first time in the whole book that physically she was able to do so. And what I really did like about her is, underneath everything, she really was a good person. And she was brave when she saved those kids. I was in tears.
Right. Because she could have just climbed that ladder and been safe with her and Evie and the one kid and left that other kid down to die. And instead, she got the shit beat out of her by a very scary monster lion thing. Lionwick, I think was what it was called. My God. The monsters in this story are really vivid and vicious and brutal. We've talked about brutality and like death in these stories before, like just the sheer volume of death. But I think you said it at the beginning here that like the monsters in the story are so creative and original and terrifying, and they don't feel like anything I've seen before.
No.
They were really cool, to be honest.
This world felt so real to me. I could see it all. I could smell things. I could hear chatter of all the soldiers in the background talking. I love that feeling of being completely and totally whisked away into what felt like a real world to me.
And as someone who has been on many an actual very, very long trail ride, the amount of pain she experienced from being in the saddle longer than she'd ever been before, I was like, girl, this is real. And the way she described it, I was like, oh, Devney Perry, you have been on a horse before. You understand. You understand.
And she was rebellious.
Yeah.
He was the worst person she could rebel against. She chooses the scariest, most powerful guy to go tell to sod off.
Right. This is the most deadly warrior in all of the realm that you have been tasked with killing somehow. I also deeply loved the amount of times, and this was just him reading her to filth, basically, but the amount of times he had her put a weapon to his throat or a crossbolt to his chest and was like, I dare you. And she was like, I could do it. I won't do it, but I could do it. At one point, he walks into a room and she describes her heart beating faster or like burning or something. She goes, heartburn. It must be heartburn from the food I ate. The food I ate earlier had peppers in it and it's spicy. And I go, heartburn, babes? I think you're just down bad. I think you're just down bad for the sexy guardian with the ever-changing color eyes. Really? Heartburn? Well, that's what we're going with? Okay, fine.
That's how desperate she was to continue her rage of denial, which I'm sure she was quite an expert at. We got to see the great dresses and having to dye her hair.
And there's something with her hair, obviously. But like, who knows what? You know what I mean? Right? Like, so her hair is red and it's been dyed with this stinky dye, which like gross. Really? Every day? You also had to make her smell? That feels rude. Brown, they put her in these gray drab dresses and like you're like, no, this feels like way more than just my stepmother hates me.
I don't think the half-sister knows, but I think the king and maybe Margot does because Margot knew her mother. And it was definitely more than just May being a spoiled little, I'm the sparrow.
Well, and the funny thing was, even that was a twist. Because like normally the like chosen princess is like uppity and whatever. No, May's kind of a badass. She's literally been trained to be a spy her whole life. She has preferred weapons. Like she's a bitch, but she's more than just a pretty princess.
She also does clearly have affection for her sister. She treats her poorly, but she does seem to genuinely care about her. And while she's mad that she doesn't get to go on her assassin
adventure,
well, yeah,
that she's been groomed for however many years, which I'm curious. My hope is in the next book, because obviously there has to be a next book. We get some sort of explanation. I feel like we never got a really good explanation for why you would skip over the eldest daughter. That's not typically how that works.
I think we're going to finally find the backstory of her mother and who and what she is. Because at the end, the body of the person that was there looked just like her. So is she a crux or do they shift? How are they connected to them? And if so, how did they know? And who knows what? Oh my God, I have so many questions.
I have so many questions, which is also, I'm glad you brought up questions. We have to talk about Odessa's questions.
Oh my gosh.
Friend. Oh my God. Ask some of those out loud. And then when you ask the ones out loud, maybe ask the important ones. Because like she kept so many of the important ones in her head and asked the dumb ones out loud. I was like, what are you doing?
Her asking everyone about the Capitol. I was just like, at a certain point, I'm like, can you please stop? We know you're a bad spy. All right, but this makes you a really dumb bad spy. And you are not dumb. There was a certain point where I'm like, if she asks one more person about the Capitol, I am going to scream out loud. Maybe she was afraid to ask those questions and she avoided them on purpose because she did a lot of lying to herself and convincing herself of other truths.
It was like she would ask 3 questions and they would be good and they would lead her to an important question. And then she would keep that one inside. I'd be like, why are you doing that? Ask that one out loud with your voice, the one you have learned to use.
I can see some of them being questions she might not want to know the answers to just yet.
Sure. Or not be ready for.
I loved in the end that we understand the reason that they don't talk about stuff isn't
because a blood oath.
There's a blood oath. I fucking loved that explanation. But yeah, I would have really appreciated her asking more of the pertinent questions earlier on. Her not wanting to deal with her family and the loyalty she felt for them. I understand that struggle and not wanting to feel like you're betraying them. But I think she started actively really avoiding asking any of those important questions when she was starting to feel the draw of the world.
Mm-hmm. And there were just times where I was like, if you had spent 5 more minutes in that mess hall, at that table with those people, getting to know them, and she does eventually, but it takes her a while. If you had spent 5 more minutes there, just listening, just being a part of that community, I bet they would have started to trust you. But you also don't know how to do that because her whole thing from back home was the moment she was able to leave, she would leave. She'd run away because she had learned that being alone was safer than being in crowds of people.
Yeah. And she did isolate herself often.
Very.
And I felt that too. When you feel like everyone hates you, or
Yeah.
everyone doesn't like you. And also, like when she was coming to terms with the fact that, yeah, Xavier is her husband and she's in this relationship with this guy that she doesn't want to be in a relationship with, but I appreciate in a way that she was willing to at least try.
She was very open-hearted to it, I thought.
I thought so too. And normally in those circumstances, I'm like, hey, girl, no, this is a forced marriage. But she was like, this is for our kingdoms. This is fine. And he does not seem like a horrible man. He was quite lovely to her.
He was
really
very
was.
lovely. I felt bad for him.
I did too.
Well, and certainly at the end, I'm very grateful that we get the sense that he did not die.
I hope not. Oh my God, I was devastated.
Yeah, that was because learning about Xavier and Evie's relationship, I think, was maybe one of the more beautiful storylines of this book. I loved Odessa and the Guardian. I loved learning about Kathleen and even Kathleen and Luella, to be honest.
Yeah.
But Xavier and Evie, that was the true love story of this book, I think.
Yeah. I love that. And I love that Ransom said, yeah, she's my sister, but she is his daughter. I am so in love with like this whole orphan children with like the adoptive fathers rescuing and saving them, and that softness, but also that protectiveness that comes with it. It is so fucking beautiful.
The first scene we get where they're in Elder, they're in the fortress, and Odessa for the first time gets to witness Xavier leave to go on a hunting or a ranger trip or whatever to hunt these, ill monsters, which we need to talk about the sickness at some point. And you get Evie saying, like, no, don't leave. Like, she's just old enough to start to realize that every time he leaves, it might be further and further away from him coming back. There's a scene where Ransom is carrying her and she's like throwing the biggest fit, the biggest tantrum, but it is not petty. It is heartbreaking. And I just remember being like, if you break that little girl's heart, I'm coming for you. Like, I've said this a million times in the 12 hours it's been since I finished this book, or 24, just about. If you hurt Evie, I'm coming for you. I will be finding your home. Like, no, you do not get to hurt that little girl. It feels like she carved a part of my heart out and took it with her.
I loved how the relationship between her and Odessa develops from the start too. It's the first time in the entire story where Odessa just kind of immediately opens up. And she's been missing her little brother. Like, she had that connection and she didn't even get to say goodbye to him. He's about the same age as her. And I will admit, I know that I am a mother of 3, and we all know that I love my dragons more than anything on the planet. But I do not always love children in stories.
True.
It's very, very situational. It really depends on the author, depends on a lot of circumstances. And
But
this
God,
one,
I love this little girl.
She's one of my favorites ever in a story. She's so wonderful, and she's such a contrast to the world. So we see all of these hardened warriors and people that aren't even warriors, but you have to be able to fight and to survive in this world.
Yeah, it's brutal.
My God, stepping outside of our house is dangerous. Even living in here is dangerous. Everywhere is. So as a child, you have to be prepared to fight and live in that world immediately. She is not to the point yet where she has to be hardened. She's still soft and a child that is indulged and loved in the most wonderful way by everyone around her, because she's the hope and the future of the world. And it just makes her so special. And I love that Odessa calls her little star. Every time she does, my heart melts. Oh my gosh. But it's beautiful. And the way she interacts with literally everyone. I sincerely like all of the characters in this, but she shows the softness because they all show their softness around her. So you get to see that other side of them too, that they normally like, particularly Xavier. You get to see what a beautiful, good man he is.
And seeing it with her is, I think, how we see it the most, as opposed to just being told it. There's also a moment. So Evie has a tendency to go missing, right? She's a little adventurer. She adventures around and she likes to run away from her lessons and she likes to explore and adventure, her favorite things. And we're in the fortress in Elder and she sneaks away and everyone this is like the first time in a while that people like big freak out. Shit, like normally when I take this tone, if she's hiding, she'll come out and she hasn't. And she has like full blown almost run away into the woods. And there is a comment, I think Kathleen makes it, and she says, "This girl has wings. You would do well not to clip them." And I just remember being like, how many of us as young girls who were exploratory and adventurous and wanted to be big in a world that told us we couldn't be, didn't have someone to say, don't clip her wings. Figure out a way to teach her to be safe in a big, scary world. And I think those were the first tears I shed in this book. There were a lot of sad moments, but that was the first where I was like, fuck, yes, that.
Okay, it's funny because I'm wearing my Made in the 80s shirt right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, I experienced that as a little girl. I wanted to go on adventures and I thought we should play with swords. Whatever you feel that's inside of you shouldn't be stifled.
Right.
Like you said, find a way to do it safely.
Right. It felt like an interesting parenting lesson. It felt a little bit like, and I don't think this was heavy-handed. I want to be clear about that before I say what I'm going to say next. But there is often in these books, in these romantasy books, certainly with female main characters, there's this meta trope. And it is maybe the main character loves libraries. Maybe they love books. Maybe they love fantasy books. But this with Evie, and to be clear, this book also has those meta tropes in it.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
I love it. I love it. It's subtle. It's just there. Mm-hmm. And also, oh my God, if that man burns another book, I will be rioting.
God, me and you both. We ride at dawn, Morgan.
We ride at dawn. I will be coming back to that thought in a moment. Evie's storyline also felt a little bit like, hey, reader, I see you. There are ways you could have been parented, you could have been loved differently that would have loved all of those parts of you. And I adored it. But yeah, if that man burns another book or burns another library, I'm going to fucking lose my shit. The first time I was just stunned. I didn't know what to do with myself.
I also was going, dude, you're like in a freaking city of trees. This is not a really smart idea.
Yeah, burn your whole fucking kingdom down. Smart.
Yeah. But also I think aside from, us raging against someone who's going to burn books, which is just devastating on so many levels, they also acknowledged various reasons why that was bad. And not just by telling us, like you said, it wasn't heavy-handed. It was, we're just going to show you why this is unhelpful. We needed that information and now that book's gone. Mm-hmm. This information could have saved us. Oh, but that book is now gone. Like when we get to the news reporter, the paper man, when we get to
Samuel.
Oh,
that story was funny.
When she's in trio and she reads that book and gets all pissed off about it, which hilarious. Yeah. She's like, well, fuck this guy and fuck this book. I'm going to meet him and she like takes all her rage out on it. And I just love it. But I mean, I was not expecting a follow up to that. And there was, and it ended up being a tremendously important one.
It was like a really good redemption arc. And I don't even know who's being redeemed in that redemption arc. I think it's both her and Samuel Hayes.
Mm-hmm. There was so much follow through and it didn't feel like you were being set up and it was like a by the numbers. I love mysteries that are unfold like this. Mm-hmm. I like being the detective and trying to find stuff out too, but I also love that it unveils naturally with the story and makes sense. I'm going to use it, but the word is masterful, the way that all of these little connective pieces unveiled throughout. I never felt like I was being manipulated. Like Morgan said, some of the breadcrumbs are really, really subtle and nuanced, but some of them were right there, like just on the plate. And you just kind of go on with the story and you're so immersed in where you're at. Even me, Miss I Need to Solve Everything. I was so present in all of these moments that I wasn't sitting there plotting ahead unless it was like literally relevant in the moment that I was experiencing. And that is incredible.
This was an interesting one, especially for me. It's not that I don't care. It's just not always my favorite part of the story. I liked that we didn't just get one bad guy. I'm still convinced that the Voster are bad guys. So you're the only beings in the entire realm that have magic, and yet there's like an issue with magic. And also, why can she feel you? I really wanted that answer by the end of the book. And I'm glad we didn't get it because, oh man, I'm going to read book 2 to find out. But what?
The other reason that I'm fairly alarmed is because there were so few times where Ransom was just like heels in the dirt about ideas. That was another thing I liked about his character. When she did question things and would bring things up and be like, this doesn't make sense to me, he would look at her point of view and hear it. This was the only time where he's like, no, they're fine. No, they're good. Right. Over and over again. Like it was enough that I went, there's something more to this. maybe they aren't big bad villains. Maybe they're like the morally gray and chaos, but they are not good. I'm
At
with you
minimum,
there.
chaotic neutral. We'll find out more in book 2, I hope. But I also loved, right? So the like big bad guy that you understand for the majority of the story until probably the last quarter or third of the book is King Ramsay, right? The king of Tura. And he's the guy burning all the books. But then you find out that actually Mom, she's been hiding in plain sight the whole time and not as innocent as you were led to believe. That was a wild betrayal. I was not expecting she's the cause of this mystery illness that has been ravaging the kingdom. My God.
I cannot wait to go back and reread, because now that I think about it, there were just tons of moments that were kind of pointing in her direction. But there were also so many other distractions. First of all, Odessa pointed us at Kathleen.
She did.
She pointed our interest in her direction, and I think
Red
intentionally
herring.
too, because I loved her. I adored her. We liked her, so we wanted it to be her. I also wanted it to be her because I wanted that for Ransom.
I wanted that for Ransom, and also, especially when you do get the reveal that Luella, who is basically Evie's tutor, I think there is something particularly painful about Evie's mother being her tutor every day and not being able to tell her that she's her mother. Like, right, we have all these deep betrayals for Ransom, right? The illness, the science, she gave him this, again, like, I've never had fantasy vaccines before, but here we are. That was a whole new one. But then, I don't know, this betrayal with Evie, I was like, when that gets unveiled, I don't know that Evie can trust anyone anymore.
Absolutely not. It was, and it's revealed like at a devastating moment, so you don't even have the ability to really process it. So you're just completely like flipped upside down as it is. But I didn't see it coming at all. Not even a little bit. We still don't know exactly what sent Ramsay off the deep end. Was it her betrayal? Because she's kind of not a good guy.
No. And she's also super dead at the end.
So dead. Oh my gosh, that was a brutal death. Oh my God, the way the people were dying.
Sliced
Oh my God. The head cut off of the baker guy and his wife trying to put it back on.
I was like, you didn't have to include that last part. You didn't have to include, but she did.
You know why? Because here we are on the podcast talking about it. Like, holy shit, I have read some fucked up shit. And it's not about the decapitation. Odessa gets to the fort, and she's also still feeling very isolated there. What she does like is that they don't know that she's a princess right away. So she has some anonymity, which was really nice. And that's kind of what Ransom wanted for her. He said, go be free there. So she sits on her balcony and just kind of watches a lot. And she's been watching this lovely interaction between him and his wife.
He buys her flowers every Friday.
Hey, like, and you just get like, this is a side character that we don't even have a conversation with, that we've just observed through her eyes. And then you're gonna fucking ruin me like that? Are you kidding me? My God. This is the kind of shit that I'm talking about, though. This is why this book is like just completely floored me. We've talked on the podcast, particularly in the Nyaxia series, about how important side characters are and how much they can really give depth to a story and make things matter so much more. This is a perfect example. This isn't even like a B or C character. This is literally
an NPC, deeply.
Yes. And here we are devastated over this horrifying death. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. It's holy shit, my friends. It's a journey.
It's a journey. Well, and I'm glad you brought up the side characters, right? We have these little, again, truly NPC, not even an A, B, or C side character. And we are devastated by their death and the interaction of their humanness and the shock of their death, right? But also we have beautiful side characters like Kathleen. I don't know that Luella counts as a side character, but right, we have some of these secrets that come to light, which it turns out a lot of the secrets are bound by blood oaths, because apparently we can't do anything without spilling some magical blood on it in this world. And Kathleen is starting to leave these breadcrumbs for Odessa through the books she shares, which, like, chef's kiss. I fucking love that this is the way she gets around the blood oath to try and basically out Luella, her lover.
Yes.
Her lover.
Yes.
For the kind of shitty things she's doing to her kids.
Yep. And they even argue about it in the dungeons, but we don't know why.
It was really masterful. It was really well done.
I understand this type of storytelling is not for everyone too. Because like Morgan said, she met her limit by the time they finally had gotten through the adventure. Me, on the other hand, I'm adventure girl. The second that I knew we were going on an adventure, I was freaking Bilbo Baggins. Sure. I was fully formed and there for it. It is so my thing. But I totally understand that that is not for everybody. But I still feel like, even if it's not, it is worth suffering and being uncomfortable for a little while, because you get so many beautiful and devastating and incredible pieces out of it. It's just every single sentence matters. Every single detail matters. Oh my God.
Well, and even as I scroll through our buddy read again, there are plot pieces that you and I pointed out at different moments that still don't have answers. Like, I was not expecting the Jocelyn plot twist.
No!
We still don't know why she's immune to fennec powder. Why is she immune to that? Why is that a thing? Like, there are a lot of pieces that are still open-ended at the end of this, and yet we got a lot of shock and awe at the end and big reveals.
I felt completely satisfied at the end. Completely satisfied. I felt like I had gotten enough answers. Sometimes it makes me a little crazy where, okay, well, we've answered all these questions, but they've also just opened up new questions. We got some of those, but there is closure on some of it. The most obvious main theme of the story was, as Morgan brought up earlier, the infected monsters. Once Odessa decides, and this is how she and Ransom finally start kind of bonding. She's like, I want to solve this with you.
Yeah.
I want to help you. And I want to understand it. And she doesn't just do it so she can understand the information so she can send it back to her father. At this point, she's fully invested, and she's one of them. She hasn't said it out loud yet, but she's there.
She's bought in.
So we start to really understand what's going on with the monsters. So they all have this green blood because they're infected. And I don't know why we call it Lysa, but it's called Lysa. Lysa.
I read it like Alyssa. It's spelled like Alyssa, but without an A. So I was like, Lyssa? It felt like a name. Like, it felt like a person.
I think that's why in my head I changed it to Lysa, because then it sounded more like
Science?
something.
Something bad.
I play a lot of fantasy video games, a lot of RPGs, so there's tons of alchemy in them. I will tell you, I avoid alchemy like the plague. Ironic, I know.
That's wild.
I do. I don't want to learn the alchemy at all. I don't. Don't make me craft things, and don't make me do alchemy. I don't want to do all that work. I just want to swing my sword around and kill bad guys.
It's like the only thing you could maybe convince me to play a video game.
There are like tons of options for how you want to play these games. You might actually enjoy some of them, Morgan. They're really, really fun. And it's all about the storytelling.
Yeah, if I get to make potions, that sounds great.
You get to make tons of potions and lots of these. I don't want to fucking do it. I had a boyfriend for a while who I was like, I don't feel like making this armor. It's going to take a while. Will you do it while I'm at work? I'd come home and I'd have newly fashioned armor. Skyrim. All my Daedric armor was done by my ex. Thank you, George. You're a good guy. But there's this alchemy, and there's the scientific aspect that we don't usually see in these stories. I thought it was kind of cool.
I liked it a lot.
It made it interesting. It added to the mystery element, and it gave the characters a reason to work together.
It did, and it didn't feel superficial. Like, we have to go on the journey and the quest together, and we just need a thing that ties us together. Like, no, this is like a true thing eating at the world around them. And like you said, it's the thing that starts to bond Odessa and the Guardian together. And I think it's his first moment of realizing that she's actually a good person.
Yeah.
He had the moment with the kids. That opened him up, of course. And then he sees this, and she's like, no, this is like for the good of humanity. Like, sure, my people back in Quintus, but also your people here who are now becoming my people, and also the, like, health of the realm. Like, if this infection continues to spread, like, we are deeply fucked. And seeing her care about it that way just opened so many doors inside of him that was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't that she was forced to go. She asked. I'm a girl who loves forced proximity, but there was plenty of that in this.
There were a lot of tropes in this. We had arranged marriage, which also was a fake marriage, technically, but also a real marriage and a fake marriage. We had forced proximity. We had kind of, well, not really secret chosen one, but like
maybe,
kind of, right?
Maybe we don't
have
fully know
the
yet.
answer to that yet.
Yeah, so maybe
we had hidden identities. We had enemies to lovers,
and they were enemies. They were enemies.
True enemies.
They did not like each other at first, and it wasn't just a trust thing. And while she might have appreciated how he looked, she still
He's a
fucking
sexy
hated
man.
him. So Ransom, from the beginning, would ask her like these series of questions. They remind me of the Walking Dead questions that Rick asks all the new people. How many walkers have you killed? How many people have you killed, and why? And they're the questions he asks the new people as he onboards them to their little survival group. So Ransom kind of did like his own version of that with her, where he kept asking her, how many men have you been with? And it also, that question can be so gross, but it made sense here because he's like, I need to know if you're trying to basically seduce me. So he asks that, and he asks her, where's your home? And the first couple times she yells and screams, Quintus. And then finally she answers and says, Quintus, but currently trio. And I'm like, yes! You didn't know what you just said. You didn't even know that you just confessed. You're starting to see this as your home too. Yeah. I loved that even though we're seeing everything from her perspective, that we figured this out for her before she did.
Oh, yeah. I will say, and this was a guess I got wrong, I will confess. I didn't even write it in the buddy read because I was like, if I get it right, I'm going to go back and write it in the buddy read so that I can prove that I was right. But I had this inkling. He asked these questions, and always the last question he would ask was, did your father send you here to spy? And she was learning how to lie, basically. She's a bad one, as she is a spy. And I was fully convinced in my bones that his magic could tell whether or not she was lying. That it was his magic, that like it was part of his powers, that he could sense whether or not she was lying.
I totally see that too, because he made it very clear. Nope, you're lying. I can tell you're lying. There was no questioning. I can see why you would have assumed that. Plus, there's so much magical stuff going on.
His eyes.
The eyes. I love that his eyes change with his mood, everyone.
He has mood ring eyeballs. It's really cute, actually.
I want them. They're silver when he's vicious and the monster's out and he's killing. Hazel is like his bitch resting face, but they turn emerald green when he's with her and has soft moments and there's vulnerability and he's open.
When he loves her. We don't even get I love yous on the page. We don't need.
No, I like that.
Me too.
The moment that they finally, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's 427 pages before they tell each other how they feel.
She's there.
And the other thing that I loved about it is even though there's this tension between them, and after a while, it's very clear that they both have feelings for each other. They do not show it at all. There's no like hand touching and secret touches or, I mean, there's admiration of their physicality and things like that, but there is nothing on the page that actually like exchanges between them. They don't have a whoopsie kiss or anything like that. So we finally get to the moment, and it's where she sees that Jocelyn has betrayed her and slept with her husband, who she thinks is her husband, Xavier, and she catches them. And then she runs into her private suite and she breaks down on her knees and she's feeling a cornucopia of emotions. But Ransom comes in behind her. He's like, so he thinks that she's devastated because she cared about him or wanted to make this work with him. And then he finally asks her, he's like, what do you feel? And she said, relief. Oh my God. And then I did not expect Miss Hyde's all of her feelings to just say, I knew that there could never be a thing between us. And then
now maybe there gets to be like, it was like kick my feet up, squealing. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Yep. Oh man, that did it for me. That sent me.
I think in that way, like you're saying, like there weren't any secret touches. There weren't any of that stuff to like build you up. It was all at a distance and internal, especially for her, that it made that slow burn even slower and burnier. And then, when you get to this moment and she finally admits that it's relief that she feels, I was over the moon.
She's like, because I couldn't have you. So she confesses that she's been blocking all her feelings for him out because she knows that she could never be with him. We already knew this because we've been suffering the whole time. She's protecting herself because she cannot have this relationship with him no matter how badly she wants to. She's still going to do her duty as a wife. And also, if she cheats on him, what will happen to her? But what follows up, he gives, it's a short speech. It's like a paragraph long, but oh my God, did I wave my panty fucking flag?
I was drooling.
I went back and read it 3 times before I even moved forward. I'm not kidding. I went back and I'm like, that really said what I thought it said. And then I went back and reread it again. And then I put something in Storygraph because I was melting the fuck down. And then once they consummate it,
It's explicit, but it's not like too vividly explicit of like, yeah, we get a cock at her entrance moment, but we don't get a lot of like, and he licked me there and touched me there. Like, it's more about the sensualness and the sensation of it, which I really like, because that's more creative for us to then fill in the blank.
Thank you for explaining my thoughts when I could not do it. That is exactly how I felt. I want to go back and read it again. And then afterwards we did have a little bit of a break where we got to enjoy the two of them. It was not long, because nothing is long that's enjoyable in this story.
Especially once you cross that threshold, because I feel like that was like, and the slide has started sliding down and everything's going to shit.
Oh yeah, there was 100 pages left. Listen, it happened on page 427, okay? There are 511 pages in this book, so we know that bad things are coming because we've read other stories.
Because we know.
And it was carnage and betrayals, and not the ones we expected, which yay for that. Oh my gosh, I so want to, I need to go to Alisaria now. I have to go there.
I need to know.
I'm hoping that that's where the Vosper is taking her.
And I'm very curious at the end of this book, where this book ends. We get one chapter. It feels a little Fourth Wing in this way. We get one chapter from the Guardian's point of view, from Ransom's point of view, of what's happening at the end. And so I'm curious if book 2 will be a dual POV.
Hope so. Really do, because now that we've had that unveiling, I mean, there's not really a ton that we know of course, who possibly knows with this devious Devney Perry person that has written a ton of books that I didn't even know about, wasn't even on my radar before this. So who knows what's actually like, what secrets he's holding. But I think it would be really, really, really enjoyable to get his point of view in the next book. Like 100%. We also got a My Wife. He's going to go look for his wife. That's my favorite.
Okay. At the end of our buddy reads, we always like to read our favorite 1-star and 5-star. I'm going to read the 1-star and then we're going to talk about it, because it was hard to find a funny 1-star and not just a mean one. Y'all are fucking vicious out there. Be nicer. So this is from Goodreads. Both of our reviews today are from Goodreads. From Megan. It says, "Hi, where is the plot?"
Did she get past the first page?
Yeah, my friend, I think we weren't reading the same book, because this is some plot. And the plot be plotting many, many times.
Megan, I don't believe you. There are many reasons why I could see someone, again, not picking this book as their type of book.
Totally.
Also, that wouldn't be a 1-star rating because it's not your jam. I will give books that are fine, but I didn't enjoy because it's just not for me. I give them 3 stars. I'm like, this is a fine book, but it's not for me. So
1 star?
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. That's just obnoxious. Where is the plot? Yeah, I don't believe this. I don't trust you, Megan.
It's on the pages, my friend. It's on all of the pages. What are you talking about?
This, I just don't understand. And then taking the time to go give the review. I only give reviews if I really, really enjoyed it. I don't like to give negative reviews, but if I didn't like it for a very specific reason and I think that it might help other people, or there's something about the book that I feel like other people should know before they go into it, then sometimes I will do a review. I don't ever feel inclined, even books that I have not liked or things I did not like about it, have felt inclined to go write a really, really crappy review.
I don't even leave comments on restaurants I go to.
No.
Like, this is outside the realm of my norm. Like, I don't leave comments on people's posts almost ever. It would never occur to me that unless, like you said, unless there's something about the story that I'm like, ooh, maybe we didn't warn well enough for that specific traumatic event or trigger warning or something. Like, maybe I need to give someone a heads up so that they know. I would never write a review like that. Like, it just would never cross my mind.
If you're going to do it, then be honest about it and say this is a personal issue you have. Again, context. Just give us some context. This is just made up and mean for no reason at all. And you said there was way, way meaner ones, and this is one of the nicer ones.
This was the nicest one I could find and the funniest one I could find.
Y'all are doing it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Will you read our 5-star?
Oh, this is from Shaylin's Library. Okay, this book hit. It has all the tropes you know and love, but is done in such a fun way that has you guessing the whole book. I had crackpot theories galore with this one, which rarely happens. I loved the female main character too. She was a breath of fresh air, just a normal girl in an abnormal situation. The main male character is classic broody man with so many secrets surrounding him. The plot was intriguing. The only issue I had was that sometimes the plot was a bit slow. 5 stars. What a banger of a romantasy. See, even they gave it 5 stars and said, sometimes it was a little slow for me. You could give a rave review and say, hey, there was this one part that just didn't work for me. That's letting people know without being an asshat.
Exactly. You don't have to be mean. Do your stupid rage bait.
Crazy folks out there.
But I liked this is a banger of a romantasy.
Even though it is a romantasy, this is like the Night and the Moth. I would not advertise it as such. It's like
this feels more epic to me. Exactly. Or high fantasy.
Yep, you have those elements in it. So while that's there, it wasn't just the slow burn of the relationship with him. It was her relationships with everybody and falling in love with all of them. Mm-hmm. Particularly our little
sweet Evie.
Our little star. So it's not a bad thing to call it a romantasy.
No, not at all. I do think, and I'll be curious as we continue to read and dive into these books more, it's been interesting to see how the genre of romantasy has evolved. And I worry that with the popularity of certain romantasy books, we're slapping that label on stuff that is actually doing it a disservice. This feels more epic high fantasy to me. Maybe not like high fantasy. This isn't Throne of Glass. This isn't Lord of the Rings high fantasy. You know what I mean? But it is epic. The world building is huge. The depth to the characters and the plot is detailed and a lot. There's a lot going on that you have to learn. And I see this as, this jumping off point of where we're going to go into the future. If you read the first Throne of Glass book and were not thrilled with it, you wouldn't be alone.
Yeah.
But you have to trust that you have 7 more books. It's not that book 1 is bad. It's just book 1. You can't pack it all into book 1.
It's an origin story. If it's intended on being a series, that's the way I always look at it. And I look at that in not just books, and storytelling in general. I think I had to watch the first season of The Expanse 3 times before I was finally engaged. Yep. Because I knew it was good, but I couldn't get past that noir detective in space thing. I'm like, is this just it? I know this isn't just it, but I feel like this is just it. And then I finally got past that. And now the origin story is my favorite part of the entire series, because I can appreciate it because of what happens afterwards. I'm like, oh, the setup here is so phenomenal. But you can't have the rest of it without the setup. And if it's an epic story, you are not getting all of your answers in the first book. The first book is setting everything up. We're going to give you a story from start to finish, but it's not the big story. The big story is coming.
And holy shit, if this is book 1, where are we going?
That's what I'm saying.
Where are we going? High stakes, Miss Devney. High stakes. Okay. I am curious. Speaking of big stories, what are you reading next?
My goodness. Okay. So I am finally reading 3 Shattered Souls by Mike Garland. I know. Look, this one is also beautiful,
so
as
gorgeous.
They all are. Look at this. Look at it. Look at it. I can't wait to read it just so I can put it on my shelf.
Right. So it can look beautiful with all the other ones.
Yes. I cannot wait to get immersed into that. I'm so excited. What are you reading next, my Morgan?
I am picking up the second. So this is L.R. Lamb's Emberclaw. This is the book that I picked up by accident, not knowing it was a second, and I had to go buy the first. So this is the Dragon Scales series, Emberclaw. Book 1 was really good. Very interesting queer representation, which I was into. And the dragons in this story are really beautiful. So I'm excited to get into book 2, and it's beautiful. It's a gorgeous book. So we will be back next time with our final deep dive into the Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, covering parts 6 and 7. It's going to be intense, but hopefully y'all came along for the ride.
And that's been our show. Stay filthy. Your hosts, producers, and audio sorceresses are Heather Baxendale and Morgan DeRocher, who somehow make this show happen with a combination of enthusiasm and emotional damage. Our theme is Magistar by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. You can find A Pod of Wings and Filth on all major streaming platforms, and our home base is at Podomatic. Find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at A Pod of Wings and Filth for updates and fun content. And don't forget to check out the show notes for all the important links. If you're loving the pod, please give us a follow or drop a rating. Your support keeps the magic alive, and it helps other romantasy fans find us.